Hello, dear friends.
Yeah.
So my question is about how to stay committed. Once you make a decision, like for example, to meditate every day,
Why would you want to do that?
stay committed?
Yeah. Well, let us give you a definition of what we would mean if we were to use that uncomfortable word committed.
All right.
Committed is not a wrong word. We would just mean this by it. I've decided to be committed to my awareness of what influence I'm under. Because all kinds of people decide to be committed to actions and behaviors and thoughts that they've learned from the world around them that just leads them into more struggle and sacrifice. Most of the time when people talk about being committed, what they mean is, I really don't want to do this, but I'm committed to do this thing that I really don't want to do. So I'm going to ignore my guidance system, which is letting me know that I'm off on my energy, and I've got some momentum going about that, and I'm going to, in a committed way, I'm going to gather up enough stamina and strength and determination that I'm going to persevere. I am going to compensate for the energy that I'm not tapped into through my human physical action. We're going to say that again so that you can feel how off that is. I'm not going to take the time to connect with source energy first. Instead, I'm going to commit to behaviors and actions and things, compensate for not being tuned in to the power that the universe provides. So that's why if we were to use the word committed, it would be to only one thing. And we're going to be silly again. I'm committed to vacuum this floor in a way it has never seen the determination or the action. I'm not going to plug the vacuum cleaner in, but I'm going to give this carpet everything that I've got by pushing this around. I'm committed. What are you doing? I'm going to make it look right. Really. Doesn't look like it's getting better, I know, but I'm committed. I'm going to get it. Might want to plug the vacuum cleaner in. Don't have time for that.
But even in that sense, in the sense of connecting with source first, that very basic commitment to remember that I'm always one with source, that I always want to tap into that first.
But here's the thing. We want to soften this by saying to you, you don't have to be committed. Your guidance system lets you know when you're not. And if you're consistently not, don't worry, it'll get bigger. And you know what happens? After a while, something gets so big that you get committed to hook back in. Do it when it's easier. It's like the story that we've offered so often about being at the top of the hill in San Francisco, and there's this roadway all the way down to the bay. You can see it going right down into the water, and you decide that you're going to give yourself a lesson in gravity and inertia and such, and so you disengage the gear on your car and the parking brake, and you push it a little bit from behind just to see what will happen. And as the car begins to move in the direction of the bay, just as it barely begins to move, you realize you know what the results of this are going to be. And so you step out in front of it and it bumps up against you and the momentum of it stops. But you wouldn't want to be at the bottom of the hill, determined, committed to stop that car from going in the bay. Because it doesn't matter how committed you are, that car is going in the bay and you're probably going with it. And there's so many people that are committed, but you're committed on the wrong vibrational wavelength. You're committed to push against something, you see. And so what we want you to be committed to is a smooth energy flow, committed to your energy flowing through you, committed to ease and flow, not to struggle, committed to syncing up with who you are, not tug of wars. If you want a rather simple way to explain the big picture in a few words, here it is. Choose something and feel good about it and do it. So, if you feel like you don't want to go, don't go. If you don't want to go there, but you do want to go there, then go there. But don't go there not wanting to. Make a decision or a commitment, but line up with the commitment. Line up with it. It's the lining up that we're talking about here, isn't it? And how does anybody line up with anything? The lining up means feel good about it. And what does feeling good mean in the sense of lining up? If you feel good about something, that means you're lined up. And why does it feel good? What's the lining up about? It means that you and your inner being do not have opposing opinions about this. So it's like if there's a family gathering and you don't want to go, don't go. Don't go. But often you don't go and you feel bad, or you go and you feel bad. So we say either go and feel good or don't go and feel good, but the other doesn't work. And so what are we asking you to make a commitment to? The family event or your connection to source energy? Because the thing that you think you're making a commitment to is irrelevant. What you're making a commitment to is the energetic place from which you step into it. Does that make sense to you? That's what we mean by getting out ahead of it.
Yes. Yes. And one thing I've noticed, and I wanted to ask you about this, is when somebody, for example, wants to get thinner, what goes into that person's vortex? A new body or more self-acceptance?
Well, both. Both. The self-acceptance must come before the desire about the new body can be accomplished. Because what happens is, as the desire is there, but the experience is different, and there's constant clamoring and pushing against the what is, then there's that internal battle that is preventing the alignment of energy that provides the inspiration.
And in that sense, are all desires equal? Are desires that comes more from the heart are the same as desires that I want to do to look good to others? Is that desire the same thing?
Equal by what standard? Is source energy more interested in your really serious things? One day Esther was meditating, and we were just beginning to talk about getting into that place where what's in the vortex can flow into your experience, getting vibrationally up to speed so that you can begin to receive thoughts. And she was all tuned in, and she started receiving thoughts about furniture, about placement of furniture. And she really enjoyed the sort of conversation and movie that was going across her mind. But then later she questioned, shouldn't I be doing things of more importance with this energy stream? And that sort of speaks to your question. Are there thoughts that are more important? There are thoughts that have greater momentum. But since you can be or do or have anything, and since you are a magnificent creator, it's only when you step into the shoes of someone who is aware of other people in other shoes looking at you that you begin to assign higher levels of righteousness to subjects. There are a lot of thoughts that make up the whole of this magnificent life experience that you all are living. And one of the things that you do that is not of advantage to you is that this is the way we like to best answer that question. So as human consciousness, you assign labels to different group subjects. And you call them right and wrong or better or worse. And you give them all kinds of different labels, endless labels, political labels, religious labels, labels of condemnation, labels of praise. And you sort of, as most humans, you define the world in these piles. And then you stand, we love you so much, smugly in your pile, bestowing the virtues of the pile in which you stand, and mostly doing it by condemning the other piles in this way and in that way and in that way. And that sort of is a description of much of humanity. From our perspective, we see all of this humanity, but there are only two piles. And the piles are temporary. It's in this moment under the influence of source, or in this moment under the influence of something else. And then what you begin to notice is that in all of those other piles, endless piles, are those who are under the influence of source or not. And so there are no righter things that you can do or wronger things that you can do. Your alignment is about what your life, and we're talking about your whole existence, what your life has caused you to experience, and what rockets you've launched, and what your vibrational reality is. Do you have a picture? Do you sense the realness of this vortex that we talk about all the time? Does it make sense to you that there was a vortex that was the energy of who you are as you made the decision to come in, and that all of the life experience that you've lived since has contributed to that and caused an evolution of that? And so here is this state of beingness, this vibrational state of beingness that you are in every moment having a relationship with. And in your moments of greatest joy and love and appreciation, you are in complete oneness with all of that, which means it will represent itself to you, manifest itself to you in endless different ways as the configurations of the cooperative components manage to come together through law of attraction to surprise and delight you. And that really is what life is about. That commitment that you were talking about is the commitment to understand the rightness of who you are, but also the rightness of who everyone else is. And there's something that gets so screwy when you stand in an attitude of, in order for me to stand in rightness, then a whole lot of others have to stand in wrongness. Because anytime anyone does that, they disconnect from source, who does not do that. Man, in misunderstanding this non-physical energy, has conjured a relationship with this non-physical energy, and even now trying to deem it right and wrong, or good and bad, or angel and devil, when all that has happened is that humans have experienced moments of connection with source and moments of not connection with source, and then have misunderstood what it means. They've misunderstood their ability to move within the energies of all of that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, totally.
We're out of time, so if there is something that you want, speak it now.